The F2 is part of the Foundation Certificate of Achievement, which is works from 1 to 5, and F2. So the F1 is starting your journey, where it's just an icebreaker where you initially start speaking, and you get up and generally talk about yourself for a little while and ease yourself into the public speaking. But the F2 is the meat of the speaking, and that's constructing a speech. And the purpose of the speech is to encourage the speaker to organise facts, feelings and arguments to greatest effect. And the speech should have a clear introduction, a body and a conclusion. So without further ado, moving on to the speaker's speech. Gaming for Life. So an interesting title. I'm not sure where that was headed. Gaming. And I think it was interesting in as much as we are probably all of a certain age where some of us maybe understand gaming and what gaming is. I certainly do from my young stepsons. John, I'm looking at you because you look a bit younger than me.
I've had an easy life.
But I think people are aware of it. I know Brian did some gaming in his heyday. So we were aware of it, but then out of the blue, good opening. 5.3 billion revenue in 2020. Nice. So we were drawn in there. You could tell I was looking, I was watching people. Oh, that's interesting, never knew. Who knows about gaming? And then it was developed into a personal experience that the speaker learnt coding and computer skills from the father. And was teaching as well. But it was also about, it's now a legitimate career choice. Obviously our sons, daughters, family members playing on the games and they're really into it, and they can, I know my stepson can play FIFA and watch him do amazing things, and I know they play esports, but actually constructing the game, and then that led on to develop into, well, we're not sure, what are these roles, what can they do? The great analogy of, has anybody seen Stops and Watch the film credits? Well, yeah, we have.
I have, yeah.
And they're massive. Well, have you ever seen the film credits on a game? It's exactly the same. And that made us think, and you could see the cogs working on some of the people listening. But it is now a career choice. And that was developed well, and then it went on to, well, is it a good career choice? Here, 27,000 jobs in the industry. That's quite a sizable chunk of jobs. But it was also went on to develop, well, you know, we all think about the teenagers sat in their darkened bedroom playing computer games all the time. But there are benefits, the cognitive skills, the communication, the feedback. You can play in groups. You mentioned Wordle, which is the latest thing on the street that everybody seems to be hooked on. I do, and do very badly at it, I must say. But then it went on to say that education aren't really taking this seriously. They're not developing those skills in school and how important it is because someone has the aptitude for it, and they should be helped to do that. But the end piece was gaming. Gaming is here to stay. Again, caught our attention. So throughout the speech, very confident speaker. Confidence came across. There was some good audience rapport. You mentioned Wordle and you interacted with John here. John's not been doing Wordle, unfortunately, but you got some interaction with the audience, which was good. You got a bit of rapport. You had some notes, but you weren't tied to them. You made sure that you were scanning the audience and looking at each of us as you spoke. There were some good gestures. There weren't many, but when you did, they were applied appropriately, which is good. And you spoke with conviction. You obviously knew your subject. And the audience were engaged, you could tell the audience were engaged, and there was a flow to the speech, you could tell that there was a clear development through the start, how you developed it, and in the end, and how you felt about it. Very, 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 very minor learning points from my perspective. I was struggling as I was thinking about what they were possibly. I would say sometimes you spoke a little quickly for me. You could maybe vary your pitch a little bit and your pace and your pause. There weren't many ums, there were 1 and 2, but that would be hypercritical. And I'm a bit of a monotone speaker, as you can tell, so I hear you there. A little bit of hand clasping, which I'm bad as well, but I think that's very difficult, and just build the gestures in. I think John, when John's done some evaluations before, which I think is a great tip, that John always says that he's not too bothered about hand gestures. He thinks it's part of the speech, and I'm sort of in that camp as well. But I think the ones you did were very good. The conclusion, I think the conclusion was good, but I think they suggest you try and tie it back into the beginning. But other than that, I thought it was really good, Jan. Really confident, really engaged the audience. Interesting topic as well. Very well done.
Thank you.
Move on to your F3, and thank you.